must wage what I have called total war against public enemy number one in the United States, the problem of dangerous drugs.
40 years ago, President Richard Nixon declared a war on drugs. 3 years later, in 1974, he said the war was won.
Drug addiction in the United States is under control.
But Nixon should have said it was out of control. And by the 80s, Nancy Reagan was trying a different approach.
Say no to drugs and say yes to life.
We've been fighting the war on drugs for a long time. At this point, by doing the same thing over and over, we're not winning that war, are we?
Not based on the numbers we're seeing.
Pinellas Chief Judge Thomas McGrady says 80% of the crimes are related to substance abuse. For the most part, the solution to the problem is incarceration.
If it's situations where they are nonviolent, and in a situation where we could get to the point where they could become productive members of society, it seemed like it'd be a better use of our limited resources to put it towards treatment rather than imprisonment.
Sounds like you're asking to go to prison.
No.
How many times have you relapsed? This is a 06 case.
Drug courts throughout the state are trying to divert some drug offenders to treatment instead of prison.
Seeing them going on and again being positive members of the community, it's just incredible.
But there just aren't enough treatment programs, and Florida currently houses more than 19,000 inmates for nonviolent drug offenses, costing taxpayers more than $377 million a year.
I don't think that these are bad people. They're sick people who need to get well.
Casey Ebersary is a former drug court prosecutor who says nonviolent drug abusers should not be imprisoned.
Why do we want to tinker with a system that's working so well, that's keeping the people of this community and this state safe? Legislators, governor, leave it alone.
Some, like Polk Sheriff Grady Judd, say keeping nonviolent drug offenders out of prison is too radical.
I'll tell you what's radical. The fact that somebody who may be selling a machine gun or a rocket launcher, somebody who is a violent felon, is not going to prison because some nonviolent offender is in on a minimum mandatory sentence. That disturbs me greatly.
And that happens?
Happens all the time.
But it's not only the monetary costs. When the courts sentence a drug abuser to prison instead of into a program, there's a societal cost as well. And there is a good chance that the judge will see that same drug abuser in front of him or her once again.
Prison is graduate school for whatever they were doing before they got in there.
And I think the legislature is starting to understand it.
Mary Lynn Ulray, the executive director of the drug treatment program DACO, says the agency's 6-month residential program has close to a 70% success rate at a cost of about $10,000. Compare that to the average 6.4-year sentence costing taxpayers $124,000 per offender.
You can't say just lock them up if they have cancer or if they have diabetes. This is a chronic, debilitating disease.
But as long as drug abusers are locked up, the cost to taxpayers will continue to be a major problem, just as drug use is 40 years after Nixon declared a war that is clearly being lost. And that's this week's What's That Costing You?
It may happen in one state. Last week, the Kentucky House voted 92-2 on a plan to shift sentencing to treatment and supervision programs. That bill is now in the hands.